Okay, hello everyone. My name is Miriana. I'm the head of Forestry Education and Training Commission. And welcome to our first webinar on higher education opportunities. Woo! I hope you're as excited as I am because I'm really, really excited. So this webinar will start and last for 1 hour. We will cover our three main topics. And I'm going to introduce you to our speakers. This is Rodrigo, Sam, and Janice. And the last 15 minutes of this webinar, you will have the chance to ask the questions. Actually, speakers will answer your questions. And if you can, please write down your questions in a comment section that is right next.
Hi guys, my name's Janice Burns. I'm a Canadian. I studied in the Master of European Forestry program, and I currently work at the International Union of Forest Research Organizations. I had the opportunity to study in a lot of different countries during my travels, and also a really great opportunity for funding and other social activities. So I look forward to talking to you about all of those this evening.
Hello, my name is Rodrigo. I'm from Brazil, and I am part of the master's program in European Forestry. So the first year starts in Finland, and now I'm on the second year, and I'm in Romania. I had a lot of opportunities as well. Janice is the same program as I did, so let's talk about it.
Hello everyone, my name is Samuel Adeyanju. I'm originally from Nigeria, West Africa. Currently, I'm studying my Master's of Science in Forestry at the University of British Columbia. I've been at UBC for over 2 years now. I'm hoping to finish sometime in January. I'm really excited to be on this webinar, and I hope to share a few experiences that I've gathered over the years in terms of applying for scholarships, living abroad, as well as studying at the University of British Columbia.
So the first topic is program. So can Samuel please tell us something about the program?
Yeah, so my program is called the Master of Science in Forestry. I'm an international student at the University of British Columbia here in Canada, and it's a thesis-based master's. So at UBC, we have thesis-based masters and course-based masters. So thesis-based masters run averagely for 2 years and above. And now I'm currently almost getting to my third year of my master's because it depends on the kind of research you do. Mine is more of a collaborative research based in Nigeria. So that takes a lot of time to build relationship with communities you work with. So that kind of elongates the program beyond 2 years. But for those who do programs like GIS, where you probably don't have to go to the field, you could just work independently on your computer, you might tend to finish in 2 years. So it's a very good program that's provided a lot of opportunities for me. And studying at UBC, one of the top forestry schools in the world, it's exciting. It comes with a lot of opportunities to connect with people from all across the world, as well as have facilities that are one of the reputable facilities, as well as faculty members. That is, for me, something that I've enjoyed so far in the past 2 years. Also, I don't know if it's time to talk about funding as regards can I go ahead with that?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So ordinarily, I wouldn't have had the financial capacity to pay my tuition or to live in Canada because it's expensive in a way. So I'm very thankful to the Mastercard Foundation that has taken up the responsibility to fund my living and studying in Canada. So the Mastercard Foundation has this robust scholarship program for African students. It's a fully funded program that brings African students to study they study in Africa, they study in North America, and they study in Europe. So the Mastercard Foundation has this partnership with over 20 institutions in this all across this continent. So for instance, in Canada, we have partnership with the University of British Columbia, University of Toronto, as well as McGill University, and also schools in the US, in the UK, in France, and in Africa, South Africa, Uganda, Ghana, and so on. So it's really a prestigious scholarship that brings students to study in these institutions, and they get full funding, which covers tuition, it covers your living costs, it covers your accommodation, and you have also students. So yeah, the past 2 years I've been enjoying the scholarship, about the opportunity to travel to other places to meet other students who are also using the scholarship for their programs in their various institutions. So I think I will stop there. Oh, requirement. I think I should talk about requirement. So requirement for the scholarship, based on my experience, I would say there are majorly five. One is you need to have a good academic standing. So that you don't necessarily have to be an A plus student, but you should have something that is considerably uh, that gives you, for instance, if you want to study at the University of British Columbia, you should have an average grade point that will give you the opportunity to be admittable into the university. So whatever that is, MasterCard looks out for that. Second would be that they want you to have shown leadership. So if you're coming to study for grad school, while you were doing your undergrad, you would have taken leadership either as a sport director. Um, if you're a religious person, you do like your fellowship in school, the extracurricular activities you do, you sing, you dance. If you're taking leadership in some ways, that contributes to your application. And also they want to look at the volunteer experiences you've had, because here in Canada, volunteering is very, very important. So if you volunteered in teaching kids, you've helped in beach cleanups, whatever it is you've done, there's always a way you could put that together in your application to show that you could work for a course without getting paid for it, which is very, very important. Also, they look at financial needs. So just like I mentioned earlier, that um, I wouldn't have been able to pay for my tuition myself. So that shows I have financial need, and that makes me in a way qualified for the scholarship also. And lastly, I would say they look at your passion for African development, and that would be shown through your leadership and your volunteer experiences you've gathered. Before moving to Canada, I run my nonprofit called Peace Impact Initiative, where we work majorly on education in rural areas. So you don't need to start an NGO; you could be part of one, and that in itself shows your passion for development in your community to make impact. So they look out for that also in your application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Samuel. Janice, you're up next to talk about program.
I'm happy to do that, especially after Samuel touched on so many of these important points for funding and so on. I think a lot of those will be similar for different programs and various programs. But I'll start with a general description of the course that I studied and that Rodrigo is now studying. And it's called a Master of European Forestry. And basically, it's a course-based master's in difference to Samuel's. So it takes 2 years. And when you graduate, you actually graduate with 2 different master's degrees. So I received one master's from the University of Eastern Finland, which is the host country of a consortium of a number of participating countries. And I also got a master's degree from AgroParisTech in France. So it's a really cool program. I think the current program offers 6 countries. The time when I studied, there were actually 7. So we started in Sweden. We were there for a month. Then we went to Finland for 5 months and did sort of a regular course-based study period. After that, we had a 3-month internship, and you could go to almost any country in Europe and also to partners in China or Brazil or Canada or elsewhere. And then we went on a field course for a month and a half. And so we visited the different partner universities, including Lleida in Spain, which is sort of in Catalonia, AgroParisTech in France, a little bit in northeast of France, Freiburg University in the southwest of Germany. At that time, I went to Wageningen University Research in Netherlands, but this program is now replaced actually by Brasov in Romania, where Rodrigo is currently studying, and then also Boku University in Austria. So you really get a chance to see hands-on the different kinds of practices in several European countries and all types of management, because forestry in Europe is quite a bit different to what I was used to in Canada. But there's a lot of interesting places to visit. All the national parks usually have forest managers. There's different game and hunting reserves. There's operational management for harvesting or also for conservation, and large networks of biodiversity areas protected under Natura 2000, for instance. So you really get to see a diverse perspective with your own eyes, and also to talk to the local people and professors and ask questions. and those kind of things. So that, from my side, was really cool to get to see all of those things firsthand. And then in the second year, it's actually partly courses and partly thesis. And you can choose to stay the whole year in one of those locations that you previously visited, or you can split it between two different locations. So in my case, I stayed then the following year in France. There, it's actually the law that you get paid for your internships. So I also had a 6-month internship while I was doing my thesis work, and I got a monthly stipend of 440 euros or something, not a huge amount, but to cover living costs. And that comes actually then back to the idea of funding. And what's special and very exciting about this program is that it belongs to the Erasmus Mundus Joint Degree Program funding scheme from the European Commission. So they offer all-inclusive scholarships for non-EU citizens of 48,000 euros for the 2-year period. And the costs of your tuition and so on are directly withdrawn. I think in total it's 16 or 17,000 euros, so around 8,000 a year. But then you receive monthly an income, and surprisingly, the cost of living in Finland actually is quite low. The apartments were around 220 euros a month, and a meal in the cafeteria costs 225. I think Rodrigo might have some more recent statistics on these kind of things. I'll give him a chance to talk in a couple of minutes when I finish about that. But in general, it's one of the only opportunities that I've heard of where you don't really have to leverage and search for multiple scholarships. But if you get one of these generous scholarships from the European Commission, you can be sure that you can pay for all of your housing, your food, your accommodation, your tuition, and so on. And I actually had a look at their webpage today, because I know that they have a lot of other programs aside from the European forestry that are funded by the same scheme. So if any of the listeners are interested in other fields like soil science, soils and global change, plant science and health, plant breeding, global development, rural development, environmental sciences, policy and management, sustainable and innovative natural resource management, sustainable tropical forestry, or tropical biodiversity and ecosystems, all of those programs also belong to the same Erasmus Mundus Joint Degree Program funding scheme. And they have some really good opportunities for you, both for European citizens and non-Europeans. The European citizens receive a lower stipend, actually. And I heard from our coordinator today, and I commented on somebody's question in the chat field. They're actually, in addition to this 48,000 euro scholarship, they're offering additional scholarships for people from all kinds of countries in the Balkans, the Middle East, North Africa, South Asia, Central America, the Caribbean, Latin America, South America, and Africa in general. So I could really encourage, if any of you guys are coming from those regions, to consider this as a good chance for being able to study in Europe. And where to apply, this is the other good news, is that the application period will open on December 2nd, and it runs until the end of January 2020. So if you're really serious about applying right now, you have time actually to consider applying in the next couple of months and starting your program September 2020. So maybe, Rodrigo, do you have something to add to this long talk about the program?
Yes. Just one more thing. When you're applying, at least for forestry that I have checked, you just apply and then you can get the scholarship together. So you don't have to apply for the master's and for the scholarship separately. When you receive the letter, you will receive the acceptance and it says that you got the scholarship or you didn't. And then you decide what to do. And for the internships, which is really nice for our program, is that you don't have to look for internship. For example, in European forestry, our coordinator in Finland, we receive a list. For example, in my case, I received a list of 30 options that we could go to Canada, to China, to Brazil, and all Europe. And then you choose one, your preference, you send your CV, and then you will receive a response that if you got it or not. So as a student, it's really good that you don't have to keep looking at internships yourself, because The program, they manage this for you. Most of the opportunities you don't get paid, but you receive a scholarship, so it's enough. And you have some advantages. I know a few friends that, for example, they came to Romania and accommodation was free. Or you can also get another advantages instead of getting paid. For example, you don't pay for a scholarship, or you don't have to pay for your accommodation, or you don't have to pay for your meals. So it's really nice program, very structured.
Nice. Okay, thank you all for answering the first question. So we move on to the second one. The second one is a bit more informal. It's about life there while you're studying abroad. So, Janice and Rodrigo, you can just kick it off and start talking about that.
Okay, I can start. I was in Finland last year. True, I mean, even though Finland can be an expensive country, but the city that I was in
You're inviting us now to talk again.
Yeah. So the University
Yeah,
of
just
Eastern
continue.
Finland. Yes. They don't have their dormitories, but we have student housing, and it's actually really cheap. 200, 300 euros. It's really close to the university. You can go
I'm really
walk or by
curious to hear about Sam's experience in
bike.
Canada.
So living in Finland is really, really cheap. Even the food is really, really cheap. And in Romania, I'm living in the dorms, which is cheaper than in Finland. And the food is also very cheap and really good. But what about Canada?
Yeah. Can I go?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think for me, I have a bit of like a similar and also different experience. It depends on how you look at it. Because moving to Canada would be the first time that I'll be leaving the shores of Nigeria. So for me, it was really different in terms of culture. We're talking about social life, so we also talked about the culture shock, having to learn new things, new food, meeting new people. Um, yeah, that in itself is challenging. You know, the way you greet people here is different from the way we greet people in Nigeria. Like I used to say that, for instance, if you're on the bus in a public transport in Nigeria, even the people you've not met before, you just say hello and you start chatting. You chat about politics or sport. Yeah, if you're on the bus, everyone have their ears plugged. You're just on your own. Like no one talks to each other. You don't even say hi. Just get on the bus. Maybe you're going for 30 minutes. You highlight like you don't talk to anyone, except you decide to say thank you to the driver, which is also another very interesting thing to see here. But nonetheless, I live in Vancouver. Vancouver is kind of a multicultural city, but definitely we have a lot of Asian people here in China, here in Vancouver, Chinese people, but also people from other places, from the Middle East, Iran, from India, from other African countries as well. And yeah, the social life here it's pretty good. People are really involved in biking, going to the beach. We have a lot of beaches around. Even on my campus, we have a beach. We have several beaches, not just a beach on the UBC campus. We have a park on the UBC campus. So there's a lot of opportunity to get active, even though I'm not sporty type. But yeah, there's a lot of opportunity to get active both on the campus or off campus. I live on one of the international graduate residences on campus. So that keeps me on campus most of the time. It's a very large campus. The university service about 60,000 students, so it's very huge. And the campus itself is very huge. It's like a city on its own. So there's a lot of opportunities to get active, like biking, in participating in several student clubs. And I think that was one of the things I did when I newly moved, because I knew there was a lot to learn about the culture and also like connect with people. So I was really involved in the community life of the school. So I was, if there's any forestry, climate change, sustainability event, you will definitely find me there. I was almost the only black guy featuring in most of the forestry, climate change, sustainability stuff on campus then. So that really allowed me, like putting myself out there, really allowed me to learn from people and also to contribute to the place I now call home. So yeah, living here is kind of expensive. Everyone wants to live in Vancouver. It's a beautiful city. So I think that in itself contributes to the real estate challenges that is being faced. So it's kind of pricey a bit, usually ranging between 800 to 1,000 to get like a studio. So I live on the campus on one of the residents, and it's about 1,400 plus, including feeding anyway. So everything included, so to speak. I have a room to myself. I have a washroom to myself and a closet. So that in itself is pretty good, I would say. And it's because I'm not the one paying it. The scholarship covers that. But for those students who are probably self-sponsoring themselves, that could be a challenge. But for me, since I have a scholarship, I pretty much don't have any challenge with funds. I have more than enough, I would say. So I have a lot to spare to go to the cinema, to go to the beach, hang out with friends, to grab dinner or to grab drinks, even to explore around Vancouver. So it's surrounded by a lot of other places. If you are really into outdoor sports like skiing, mountaineering, hiking, you do a lot of that around here. So coming from a tropical area, I'm kind of still trying to learn how to do that. I had my first skiing experience last December, which was very funny and interesting. So yeah, there's a lot to do around here, and I'm taking the opportunity, which I still hope to do more as the months progresses. Yeah.
Cool.
Good.
That was really nice.
Yeah.
Janice, do you have anything else to add? Silence. Okay. Was there IFSA at your universities?
Yeah. So here at UBC, IFSA is. I think I could probably brag about this. Yeah, within the IFSA network, UBC is seen as one of the uh, notable IFSA LCs. And I say this not because we are 100 members, but because we are few, but we have a lot of support from our faculty. So on most IFSA delegations to any of the international policy processes, you usually find at least one student from UBC. And that's because we have very big budget and we get lots of support from the faculty to send students to the policy platforms. And I just handed over as president in September. So we have a new president at the IFSA UBC chapter. And yeah, that's one of the ways I got plugged into the school community. And IFSA is a really good global platform that brings students together. So while I was in Nigeria during my undergrad, I was not too active, but in a way I was active with the IFSA publication commission, the IFSA 3 News, what it was called then. And I was working with Micah. And while I was in Nigeria, I wrote on the IFSA 3 News. I was editing some of the blogs too. And so when I got the admission to study at UBC, I contacted Micah. Oh, I'm coming to UBC, and said, oh, you should come. You're welcome. And immediately I arrived. I got plugged in. I became very active within the IFSA UBC network. I was working on climate change issues. I had the opportunity to go to Germany in 2017. And in 2018, I was elected to be president. And that also provided a lot more opportunities for me to kind of engage more people, African students to be involved, because we have quite a sizable number of African students in the forestry faculty. So I kind of did some form of like mobilization to get them involved, which was really exciting. And now the LC continues to work stronger with the new leadership that we also have. So IFSA UBC is a vibrant IFSA LC. Yeah.
Nice, really cool to hear that. And so if we have nothing else to add to this topic, the a bit more informal part, we can move on to next question. So what about the opportunities about after your studies, guys? Can someone tell something about that?
Okay, I could probably go first. Yeah, when you tell anyone I've attended a few conferences that I'm studying forestry in Canada, in Vancouver, in BC, they say, oh, that's a good place to study forestry. And I think that is true because BC, as one of the provinces in Canada, is big on forestry, and the logging companies here, the timber companies here are very big, export to the US and to Asia, especially China. So the forestry industry here is very robust, and it's really generates a lot of revenue for the province as well as for the country also. So yeah, it's a good place to study forestry, especially if you're interested in traditional forestry. And what I mean by that is if you're interested in working on the field, being on the field, helping with mentoration work, doing like grant tutoring for GIS projects, planting trees. It's very big here. Working in the logging industry too, forestry companies. So, yeah, so for me, I'm really interested in policy, like environmental policy. And even though that is not really big in the province or in Canada generally, but still there are opportunities. I believe my degree has equipped me not just to function in Canada alone or in Nigeria, but the horizon is like very broad, it's wide. So I could decide to go to Romania to meet Rodrigo's, also to like start something over there, take on a job there, or start another MSc in European forestry. Never know, right? So yeah, so there's a lot of opportunities because I think nowadays we majorly, like I think most of us, we know, if some members, we're really talking about green jobs. Which is very big in Europe, and also I think Canada is doing a lot of stuff in that regard. So the green job horizon also provides a lot more opportunities to get involved in policy and in actual underground job. So I think there's a lot of opportunities in terms of job prospects for both undergrads and graduates in the forestry education stream, I would say. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Rodrigo?
Well, we also have a lot of opportunities. The good thing about my program is that we get to know the alumni students. So, for example, Janice is working at UFROS headquarters in Vienna, and I know some other students who are now today working for a company in Ireland, others that graduated from, for example, Boca University, and as soon as they finish, they're part of the staff doing research. So as a student, you can go to whenever you want. You can go to the field as working in a company or to international organization or even staying at the university. Or I even know some friends of mine who decided to pursue their PhD careers in their university that they stayed for the second year, or they tried to go to a new university. For example, one friend from Kenya last year, he now is going to Japan for his PhD. So it's nice because we know everybody that graduated, and they also give us hints of how to get a job or where to look for a position. It's a really nice network, and there are lots of opportunities.
Oh, nice. Nice. And Sam, I can ask you about the PhD opportunities also.
Yeah. Just like Rodrigo just mentioned, PhD opportunities today are very, there's a lot of PhD opportunities both in Canada and in Europe and in the US as well. So I think for me, I want to take like a few gap years, like 2 to 3 years before deciding to do a PhD. I think I need to rest my brain a little bit after this 3 years rigorous master's program at UBC. It's been intense, but it's also fun as well. So yeah, if you're interested in studying for a PhD, I would recommend you join one of the Facebook groups being managed by it's called Young Forestry Professionals on Facebook. I know it's being managed by IFSA, I guess, where they post regularly PhD opportunities and also job openings too, because not everyone will probably do a PhD. You need a job. So that's one Facebook group that you should probably watch out for to see I think at least in a week you see 2 posts about either an internship opportunity, a PhD opportunity, or a job opportunity. So, for instance, at UBC, there are different scholarships, especially for forestry. So UBC has the highest forestry fellowship for any PhD student in the world. And the recipient is an IFSA member. Most of us, we know her, Sarah Dixon. Oh, she's the recipient of that. That's the highest PhD funding anyone can get in the world. So aside that, there are also other PhD funding here at UBC. And probably I could share the link with Majana.
Almost. Miriana. That was a good one.
We'll disseminate it. And if need be, we can also kind of interact. But it's pretty easy. I say like after these 2 years or this experience of like getting this master's scholarship, I feel to get a scholarship is just Google, it's just a Google away. Like Google, just type PhD in forestry in Canada, you will see lots. And from that, you can begin to follow that lead So through that, you find students who are studying in that program, whom you can reach out to and ask more questions. You can send emails to the faculties, the admission offices. Most of the time, they will reply you. If they are not having like a lot of emails to respond to, they will reply you. So don't be afraid. You are well capable. Just take the first step. Reach out to the people you need to reach out to. Get a supervisor, which is very important, especially if you want to do a PhD here in Canada. Most of the time, when you get the the most difficult part of it is getting a yes from a supervisor. When you get a yes from a supervisor, it's almost like 7% done. You're going to get that PhD. So you need to really work on building relationships with potential supervisors, send them the emails, have a very well-structured application or CV or resume, and put it forward and ask for people to also give you feedbacks on it before you send it. And I think with that, you can get your foot into the system. Yeah.
Nice.
Mhm.
So now we can move on to questions from the audience. We have a lot. So here's the first question for you guys. Can you choose the place for the internship freely?
In my case, as we have the list, you can go about two ways. You can find yourself an internship, or you can wait for this list of our coordinator. And then there are different kinds from different countries. You can be focused on research, you can be focused on industry, going to the field every day. And in our case, as we had so many options, it's easier for us just to choose the one that we want to go for. So when we're applying, we choose the top five that we want to go. And then we send our CV and then we will get our response. Usually you will always get your first option. So yes, you are free to choose as you want. But if you are certain that you want to go to another place, another country, you can try as long as you talk with your coordinator before, explain to her your opportunity and how you can manage because this internship we receive credits for that. And at least it's 2 months, 3 months, but you can talk with your supervisor of the internship to stay longer during the summer. But usually it's more convenient to just to stick with the list of the universities. And also we have so many options. That's much easier for the students because we don't need to keep thinking about the internship. We can focus on our studies, and when the time comes, we just choose the internship that we find that fits our needs.
Okay. Sam?
Uh, for my program, there isn't an internship attached, but for my research, I secured 2 internships, which unfortunately I wasn't able to go for those internships due to security issues. I was going to do my research in Southwest Cameroon, but due to the political unrest in Southwest Cameroon, I wasn't able to go. And I had an internship with the Forest Stewardship Council, Congo Basin. I wanted to work on certification systems in Cameroon. Later, I got another internship with an NGO based in Tanzania. I wanted to work with them also together with the FSC on community-based forest certification systems. Unfortunately, also, I couldn't go due to visa issues. So, yeah, I eventually had to go back to Nigeria to do my research, and I'm currently working on socio-ecological systems of cultural landscapes in Southwest Nigeria. So I'm almost finishing up. Hopefully, I should be done in January. So.
Oh, nice. Nice. So the next one is what's important when I write statement of purpose? What sort of experiences can help my success in exams or masters?
Statement of purpose. I think it's different from program to program or scholarship to scholarship and probably university to university as well. But generally, it's just about presenting yourself because that's one of the first things that the supervisor or the program officials will see. It's about who you are, what have you done. So it depends on if you're coming for a research intense program, you need to show that either you have done research in the past or you have potential to be able to succeed in a research intensive program. And for instance, myself, even though before starting the master's, I do not have any publication, but I did a bachelor thesis and I published it. And I think it's maybe over 80 pages. And that in itself shows the potential that, or even though this thesis wasn't published, but I was able to like synthesize a problem, look for ways to solve the problem, look for solutions to a problem. That is what is really needed for you to do research. So those are the things you probably need to include: your background, your interest. And for instance, if you're looking for a supervisor, you need to look at how your interest aligns. So for instance, if my professor currently works on indigenous forestry issues and community forestry issues, so I had to look for ways to align my interest with what she currently works on. So I kind of pitched the fact that I wanted to work in local communities back in Nigeria or in any other African state or country. So I found a way to kind of align that with what she's currently doing. And if they find commonality and genuineness in what you've written, I think that provides them the opportunity to want to respond to your email and to say, yeah, we could take this further. I think we could find a way to work together. So that is very important. You need to find a way to connect your idea and your interest with what the supervisor is doing. If it's in the case of writing statement of purpose for a supervisor, or if it's a program, you need to show that your interest connects with what the program is currently offering. And also, there's also need for you to show that, I think I lost my thought. You need to also be able to show that you're not just coming to the program just to get the scholarship or to learn, but you also have something to offer. That is also what people look out for. They look at, okay, if you're going to recruit 10 students for this program this year, we need diverse opinions, diverse nationalities sometimes, or diverse ideas. So we want people who are able to come to join the cohort and they're able to contribute meaningfully in class discussions and other things that they do in the program. So that is very, very important. Yeah.
Nice. So the next question would be, how can someone find prospective supervisors?
Oh. Rodrigo, do you want to comment on that?
Before you start your master's, at least when I applied, you didn't have to look for a supervisor yet, because you will only work with your master thesis once you are in your master's and will start in the second year. But in my case, what I did when I started classes, I attended some courses that I was interested, for example, in my case, bioeconomy. And with the professor, we were free to talk with them about classes and everything. So I usually go to their office. At first, I ask them on email, and then they get to know me through classes. And then you can start having a conversation with them and to see if you are really interested in the subject, if the professor has time to supervise some in your master thesis. But basically, that's it. Because in my case, I already chose my professor. That's the one in Finland, and the process was he was giving a bioeconomy course. I had finished the course, and then I asked if he was getting any students to work on his master thesis, and then I said that I was interested, and then he said yes, we can work on this project. And in my case, I had initiative to propose a subject of the field, of specifically how I wanted to do it. But in general, you can actually see the professor's profile, you can see the courses that they teach, and then you can see if he's available, basically.
Nice. So,
Okay.
no, you go. Sorry.
Also, in securing a supervisor, I think here at UBC, I was once a graduate student ambassador, and what we do there is mostly to talk to prospective students about how to secure supervisors, life at UBC as a graduate student, and we get a lot of comments as regards, I can't secure a supervisor. It seems this is very difficult and stuff like that. And based on our experience, we found that most prospective students write generic emails or send generic statement of purpose or generic CVs to potential supervisors. They need to show that you are doing your homework, like you've searched their profile, just like Rodrigo mentioned. If you're applying to UBC, Faculty of Forestry, the 80 faculty members, most of them have websites or they have profiles on the website that you can see what they are doing. For instance, my professor, Janet Balkan, works on indigenous forestry issues, community forestry, social forestry, and I think someone asked about social forestry. So forest certification, forest policy issues. So if you're interested in this, that is one of the things you need to look at. What is this supervisor interested in? And when you're sending an email to the supervisor, you need to be specific. You don't just need to write, dear professors. That shows probably you're sending that same email to 10 or 15 people. You need to be specific. Dear Professor XYZ. And because most of these professors, they are teaching undergraduate and graduate courses, they are doing their own personal research. They have 10 to 15 graduate students they're working with. Some of them are also consultants for UN and other stuffs. So they are really tight on time. So if even the subject of your email is not probably appealing, they won't probably even read your email at all. And what you need to do is to get them to read your email. Like, just find a way to ensure that when they get that email, they read the email, because it's from there that you can now make an impression. And if you get a response from a professor, that is really interesting, because these people are really busy. And so don't send generic emails. You should have done your groundwork. And one of the things I recommend is read one or two papers of that particular professor. If he has TED talks he has given or conferences, you can find that on his page. Like, when you're writing to the prof, at least chip in one or two things. Oh, I read your talk or your paper on XYZ, and I think this is this. That really is very, very important. That shows, oh, this guy has really done his background work, and he knows some of the things I've done. So that is very, very important in contacting a supervisor. And you don't need to write a lengthy email to, like, just like I mentioned, they don't have the time. So you need to be like straight to the point, as well as be specific. Make sure you are addressing them as an individual, not as one person in the pool of professors you are trying to get their attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam and Rodrigo. So we can move on to the next question. How do you value your international experience? Do you have the feeling it critically improved your life, professionally and privately, compared to studying at home? It's a really cool one.
So, I mean, first is the culture shock. Living in Finland, now in Romania, it's incredible because you get to know all these different culture, food, lifestyle, and yes, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it's my second time abroad, and I really learn how to be more independent, how to get to know other people and listen to them. It's fun. You get to know so many different people from you get to know so many different people from different culture and find even similarities. It's amazing. It's really, really nice. It's a wonderful experience actually. And what else? I mean, you can teach people your own language. You can learn a little bit about their language. You want to know a little bit more. In general, they're just pros about living abroad on my side.
Yeah, so the international experience for me, it's been really cool. Like, even though I'm here like as a full-time master student, I mentioned earlier that it will be my first time outside Nigeria, and I've had the opportunity to go to 5 other countries or more within the period of my study as a master student. So that for me is really cool. I've always wanted to travel, but yeah, the opportunities recently presented themselves in the past 2 years, and I really like went for them to mostly attending conferences, but also like meeting people from other cultures and other places. And it's really broadens your worldview. Like, probably if you're in your home country before, you think almost this is the only way things could be done. But when you chat and meet with other people, you get a new perspective about life, and that itself is really cool. I found that really cool. And also, yeah, just being also be able to be authentic and also share your own perspective wherever you are. Like, I feel that makes a lot more impact than just being back home. So through myself and the other Nigerian or African students studying at UBC, people would have tried Nigerian food, Nigerian music, Nigerian movies, and stuff like that. And that's also a way to promote your own national heritage, so to speak. So it's not just about learning from the culture; it's also about contributing your own culture, and that makes everything more diverse and more rich. And I think that's what Canada is really good at. It's a lot of diversity. You find people from all over the world who live in Canada. So that really makes it a very diverse place to live in. And yeah, I've really learned a lot from the people I've met, and I also believe in some ways I've contributed to the community I've been involved with. So I highly recommend having an international experience if it's having an exchange term or 1 full year abroad or going for another country to do internship or getting a job or starting a master's or PhD degree. It really helps to, just like I mentioned, it contributes a lot to broadening your worldview about how the world really looks like, as well as also increases your portfolio. Because, for instance, if you someone like Janice who studied in these very many 4 or 5 European countries,
Yes.
I think that added to her profile in getting the job she currently um, puts at UFRO. So I think that is also very important. When people see that you have had this variety of experiences by living in other countries, people really value that kind of those kind of experiences. So if you can, please get it. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you, Sam. So we have time for one more question, and that is when I write statement of purpose, should specify which professor I want to study with.
Yeah, I think just like I mentioned earlier, it's program based, university based. So if I would use the MasterCard process as an example, which changes almost every year, but based on the information I have as of now. So what we do, because I think there are some African students who will probably be on the webinar and might be interested in applying next year, because the application for this year, the 2020 intake, just closed in November 6th. So you can probably apply this year again for UBC. But I also mentioned earlier that MasterCard has partnership with a variety of other universities. So University of Toronto here in Canada, McGill University in Canada, Duke University in the US, Stanford, and other universities, University of Edinburgh in the UK, Sciences Po in France, and schools in Africa too. University of Cape Town in South Africa, and Makerere University of Uganda, and other universities. So don't just focus on probably Canada or US. You can also apply to universities in other countries and still get a MasterCard Foundation. So back to MasterCard Foundation at UBC. Um, Earlier in the year, they will send out this call form, or probably you fill a form online to assess your eligibility. And if you're eligible, they will send you the form to fill. When you fill the form, you submit back to the program. The program assesses your eligibility with the form again, and they tell you you are now, if you're applying for the same program I'm currently on, which is the research-based masters in forestry, you'll be told to now apply to the university, which is you're now applying as a prospective student to study at UBC. So when you apply under the funding, because it asks you, are you going to fund your program? If you are self-sponsoring yourself, you say, I'm going to fund myself. Or if you have other scholarship, you say. But if you're applying for MasterCard, you're going to include, oh, I already applied for the MasterCard scholarship. But you do that also, since you are coming for a research-based master's, you need to begin to look for uh, a potential supervisor. Very, very important if you are doing MSc in forestry at UBC. You need a supervisor. So how do you do that? Whatever you're interested in forest policy, you go to the profile page of the faculty, you see 10, 15 or more people who have the tag to say, oh, this person has research interest or research focus in forest policy. So you write to the person. And so uh, for me, I had a very interesting experience. I wrote to 10 professors at UBC forestry before I got two. And I did this over a space of 2 months thereabout. And this is very stressful. Like trying to reach people from Africa, I need to stay up late till around 2 a.m. because that will be afternoon here in Canada. So it's a lot of hard work that is really like put into securing a supervisor. So I will write to props, um, attach my CV, attach my transcript, tell them who I am, why I'm interested in working with them, what I'm also interested in, and how we could work together. Oftentimes, sometimes I don't get a mail for days. On their profile, you find their office numbers. I pick my phone, I call the office number, even though it's very expensive. Most of the time, they never pick up anyways. I would quickly drop my message to the answering machine. Hi, I'm Sam from Nigeria. I sent you a mail this so date. I'm looking forward to receiving your email about being your student. So it's after that that some of them will now reply me. Hello, Sam. I'm sorry, I'm not taking a student. Blah 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 blah. So I move on to another person on the profile who has forest policy. That's what I did before my ninth and 10th person I contacted decided to take me as a student. So for some people, it might not be that dramatic or stressful. Probably the first person you reach out to might decide to take you on, but that is just to show you how stressful or how lengthy the process could take, and also like the content of your emails to them, the content of your application, they're very important. So you should most of the time you won't have a whole picture of what your research will look like, but at least you should have an idea. Even sometimes it could be broad. So during my time, I had an idea. I wanted to work on sustainable forest management in forest communities in Nigeria. That was kind of the idea I had, and that was what I was trying to pitch to my supervisors or the people I contacted before I eventually one person who took me on. So talked about.
Thank you. No. Thank you, Sam, a lot for your answer.
Yeah.
Rodrigo, do you have anything to add up?
Yes, so I can share about my letter when I applied for my master's and also for my internship. So I didn't specifically said that I would like to work with a specific professor, but I talked of how did I fit in at the university, values, and also to the program itself, how my experience would be increased by being part of that program, and how I would get that knowledge and I would use in the future. It was basically a very general, but very specific about myself, of my experiences, of how I wanted to go to Finland and study, and how I could relate all the knowledge, the curriculum itself of the program to my life, and how I can apply in Brazil. And for the case of my internship, I went to UFRO's headquarters. Janice here was my supervisor. So it was really interesting because it's a partnership between IFSA, EFI, and UFRO. So when I told them, when I made my application, I said it would be amazing to work at UFRO. I talked of how the whole structure of this international organization is, and how it would increase my and boost my curriculum and all the experience that I would get from everyone. And also I related to the topic of the internship. And at the end, I got it. It was really amazing opportunity. It was incredible. So I think that when you're applying, you should think of more. I mean, why do you want to go to that place, and what contribution you can have at that place? You don't have to worry that much about a specific professor. I mean, in the case of PhD, you contact the professor, but then when you write the letter of recommendation, it's not going to be directly to the professor that you're going to apply, but it's going to be to the people that accept the students. So they want to see yourself, and also why and how you can actually be part of the university, be part of that program, and really have a good time learning, and also giving more of yourself. It's just a two ways. You learn, but you also contribute to the university, to the program, and in my case, to both for the internship as well.
Nice. Thank you. So we have one more question that's not answered. I know I said it's the last one, but if we can answer just only this one. How long does a master's degree take and PhD separately?
So how long does the master's degree take and PhD? I think it depends from country to country, and also program to program too. So just like I mentioned, that most people who are probably working on anthropology, doing community-based research, they tend to take longer to finish either their masters or their PhDs, because they're not just sitting on the computer programming or like drawing maps and doing other stuff. You need to travel. I traveled back to Nigeria in February, March to really meet with people, to talk with people, do focus groups, do interviews, do surveys, and that takes time. So average leave for a master's at UBC forestry to be 2 years, but people tend to take longer, like 3 years averagely. Like that's reasonable to finish a master's degree. And PhDs, yeah, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, as the case may be. Yeah, it boils down to what you're working on, what you want to get out of it, your professor, the funding you have. So, for instance, if you have 4 years of funding, so averagely all PhDs at UBC we have 4 years of funding. So, if you know that you won't probably have access to any other funding. You'll be tight on time to finish in 4 years. But if you have access to more funding, you could decide to stick around a lot more. Like use 5 years, people use 6 years, and not just because they want to stay, but because their program still has to kind of go through a lot of processes. Like for instance, if you are doing they call it human-based research or something like that, you need to do ethics. So ethics approval sometimes could take months. And if you're working in a country, like I wanted to work in Tanzania, I had to apply for research permit that took like 4 months. Sometimes it could take 1 year. It could take longer to get research permit to work in a country. So if you are doing a 2 years master's and just to work in a country is taking you 1 year to get a permit, that's going to elongate your program. So there's no fixed program except it's a course-based master. So if it's a course-based master, and which we have a variety of this also at UBC, we have the Master of International Forestry, which is just 1 year, 2 terms, and the third term is for internship. We have Master of Sustainable Forest Management, which is also 2 terms, just 8 months. We have Master of Geomatic and Environmental Management, 1 year, 2 terms, and that's all. Yeah. So, and all these programs are also being funded by the MasterCard Foundation. So it's not just about the MSc research-based track, but if you're interested in international forestry, sustainable forest management, GIS, you can also apply for these other programs too. Yeah, they are fixed. You can always finish at that fixed time, 1 year, 8 months.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Sorry, guys, for this. Okay, he's offline. So I will ask from Rodrigo to write this down, the answer for this. So I will actually post this so you will all have the answer from Rodrigo. So for now, I think that we are finished with our first webinar on higher education opportunities. This was really, really exciting. Thank you all for attending, and special thanks to Rodrigo, Janice, and Sam. Thank you so much for helping us and giving your information. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.